Claire Donovan froze mid-scroll, her thumb hovering above her phone screen as her heart raced. A wave of heat rushed from her chest to her face when her sister's Instagram post filled the display. There was Vanessa, lounging on a pristine Hawaiian beach, designer sunglasses perched on her head, holding a neon blue cocktail with a tiny paper umbrella. The caption read, "Living my best life. #NoRegrets #treat yourself." Claire might have ignored it if not for one detail, the glint of a gold card in the corner of the photo. The same distinctive business card she had been searching for all week. Her missing card. Her phone buzzed 3 times in rapid succession. Fraud alerts from her bank. $13,421.88 in new charges. All from Hawaii. All in the last 72 hours. Claire stood abruptly, her coffee mug tilting dangerously in her hand. "Everything okay?" asked Jordan Pierce, her assistant, glancing up from her desk. Claire barely registered the concern in Jordan's voice. She turned her phone toward her. "Not really. My sister just charged over $13,000 to my business account for a Hawaiian vacation." Jordan's eyes widened as she scrolled through the images. "Claire, isn't that the card you locked away? The one you never use except for software payments?" Claire nodded, her voice tight. "Exactly. That card has no preset spending limit. It's tied directly to Ellis Marketing Group's operating account. The last place I expected to see it was in Vanessa's hand, 4,000 miles away." The phone buzzed again. A text from Vanessa popped up. "Thanks for covering my vacation. The resort is amazing. Don't worry, I only spent about $100,000. You can afford it with your fancy business. Love you." Face blowing a kiss, Claire's jaw clenched. The office felt too small, the air suddenly too thin. She grabbed her laptop and jacket. "Cancel my afternoon calls," she told Jordan, already halfway to the door. "I need to check something." 20 minutes later, Claire sat in her parked car outside her mother's condo, her laptop balanced on the steering wheel. She logged into her business account. The charges were far worse than she imagined. Not 13,000. Not 20. Over 97,000 in 5 days. Flights, luxury hotels, designer boutiques, spa packages, all neatly time-stamped and geotagged to Maui. Her stomach dropped as she scanned the transactions. These weren't careless charges. Each purchase required her business's EIN number and secondary verification. Someone had deliberately gathered her business credentials. Claire forced herself to breathe as she dialed her mother's number. Margaret Donovan answered on the first ring. "Claire? Is everything okay?" "No, Mom," Claire said flatly. "It's not. Vanessa's in Hawaii spending money on my business card. Did you know about this?" The pause lasted 2 beats too long. Then Margaret whispered, "Oh, she said you gave her permission. She said it was to thank her for everything she's done helping with my recovery." Claire pressed her forehead against the steering wheel. "Mom, I opened a separate card specifically for your medical expenses. You know I never gave her permission to use my business account." Her mother hesitated. "Well, she must have misunderstood." Claire's voice cracked with disbelief. "Misunderstood? She's posted 17 photos bragging about spending my money. This isn't confusion. It's theft." Margaret sighed, her tone turning defensive. "Don't exaggerate. It's just a little vacation. And after everything you've achieved while Vanessa has struggled, don't you think she deserves something nice for once?" Claire closed her eyes. She heard the faint rustle of papers, the click of a purse clasp. "Mom, what are you doing?" she asked sharply. Silence. Then Margaret admitted softly, "I thought it was the one you gave me for prescriptions. It says Ellis on it." Claire nearly screamed. "That's my business name, Mom. Ellis Marketing Group. Not our family name." Another pause. "I might have let her borrow it. She must have taken it when she was helping organize my paperwork." Claire's chest tightened. Not just her sister. Her mother, too. Betrayal cut deeper when it came from those you loved most. 15 minutes later, she was standing in her mother's kitchen, the same kitchen where she'd spent countless Sundays balancing bills after her father's death. She kept her voice steady. "Where is it?" Margaret's eyes darted toward her purse. Claire reached for it, But Margaret snatched it away with surprising speed. Claire, you're overreacting. Vanessa deserves a break after everything she's been through. Claire's eyes flashed. What she's been through. I'm the one paying your mortgage, driving you to appointments, covering every expense you forget. And now you tell me I'm selfish for expecting my business account to remain untouched. Margaret's voice rose, defensive and sharp. After everything I've done for you girls. Claire cut her off. Give me the card, Mom. Margaret clutched her purse tighter. Vanessa said you wouldn't understand. That you've always been selfish with your success. The words landed like a physical blow. Claire stared at her mother, her vision blurring. She had built her business from nothing, working 80-hour weeks while juggling caregiving. She'd covered Vanessa's rent 3 times in the last year alone. She'd paid Margaret's property taxes when she forgot. Claire saw clearly now, this wasn't misunderstanding. This was entitlement, deep-rooted and deliberate. Without another word, she turned and walked to the door. Where are you going? Her mother called after her. Claire's voice was cold. To call my lawyer. Back in her car, Claire dialed Evelyn Ross, the corporate attorney who had helped establish her LLC. Claire, good to hear from you. How's business? Evelyn's cheerful tone faltered when she heard Claire's reply. Not good. I need your help with family fraud. To Evelyn's credit, she didn't miss a beat. Tell me everything. For 20 minutes, Claire laid it out, the Instagram photos, the charges, her mother's reaction. When she finished, she expected sympathy. Instead, Evelyn asked, civil or criminal? The question jolted Claire. She realized this wasn't just betrayal. It was a crime. Both, she answered firmly. Evelyn's tone sharpened. Good. This isn't just credit card theft. It's business identity theft with interstate implications. That's federal. Evelyn guided her through the next steps. Freeze the card immediately. File a fraud report with your bank and insurance. Document every Instagram post. Save the texts. This isn't a family spat, it's a legal case. Claire felt steadier as Evelyn spoke. Your sister made one mistake, Evelyn said. She didn't use a personal card. She used a registered LLC's business card. That makes it corporate fraud. The penalties will be severe. That night, Claire gathered evidence, screenshots of Vanessa's Instagram posts, bank statements, text messages. She labeled the folder legal, Vanessa fraud case, and sent it to Evelyn. Then she texted her sister. Hope the pina coladas were worth it. You'll be hearing from the fraud unit soon. The reply came almost instantly, 3 laughing emojis. Then, you wouldn't dare. We're family. Claire stared at the screen, her hands steady now. For years, that phrase, we're family, had been used like a shield, a weapon to excuse everything. She forwarded the exchange to Evelyn. The lawyer's response came back within seconds. Perfect. That gives us motive. The next morning, Margaret called. Her voice carried that familiar edge, not quite angry, not quite pleading. Claire, this has gone far enough. It was just a misunderstanding. Claire gripped her phone tightly. A misunderstanding is grabbing the wrong umbrella, Mom. Vanessa stole nearly $100,000. She's your sister, Margaret pressed. She made a mistake. Claire's voice hardened. No. She lied. She bragged about it. She knew exactly what she was doing. Margaret tried one last card. If you go through with this, the family will have to choose sides. Claire's heart ached, but her answer came with clarity. Then they'll have to choose. She ended the call. That afternoon, Evelyn called back. The bank has frozen the card. The insurance company is investigating. Once verified, they'll reimburse you and pursue Vanessa for restitution. Pursue her how? Claire asked. Civil lawsuit minimum. Given the amount, criminal charges are likely. Claire felt a grim calm. Good, she said. That evening, Vanessa emailed. Please, Claire. My life is falling apart. Mom's been sick. I panicked. If you drop the case, I'll pay you back. Swear. Claire replied with one sentence. Pay the insurance company. They own the debt now. Hours later, Margaret emailed too. What kind of daughter ruins her own family just to prove a point? Claire stared at the screen. The real question burned in her mind. What kind of mother lets one daughter rob the other blind and calls it loyalty? The fraud investigation moved quickly. Bank records, IP addresses, device logs, all pointed squarely at Vanessa. The insurance company approved Claire's claim and refunded the full amount to her business account. But as Evelyn predicted, once the insurance paid out, they had the right to pursue Vanessa for restitution. News outlets soon picked up the story. Headlines blared. Woman faces $100,000 fraud allegation after using sister's business card. The photo showed Vanessa on the beach, cocktail in hand, smug smile intact. Claire's phone buzzed with another text from Margaret. "You've embarrassed this family enough." Claire almost laughed at the irony. When Evelyn called again, she asked, "Do you want to testify?" Claire hesitated only a moment. Yes. Not for revenge. For truth. She wanted the record clear. No one could later paint Vanessa as misunderstood or Claire as cruel. Vanessa had lied. She had stolen. And she had flaunted it. Claire would forgive, but she would not excuse. The courthouse was colder than Claire expected, both in temperature and in atmosphere. Vanessa sat across the aisle in a beige sweater, projecting humility. Gone was the Instagram confidence. She didn't look at Claire once. When the prosecutor asked if she wished to speak, Claire stood. Her voice was steady. "I'm not here for revenge. I'm here to reclaim my name." She told the court about the bills she'd paid, the support she'd provided, the credit card she'd opened for medical expenses. She described the sting of betrayal when she saw the beach photos. "She didn't just steal money," Claire concluded. "She stole trust. She stole my identity and wore it like a costume to fund her vacation." The courtroom was silent when she finished. The ruling came swiftly. Vanessa was ordered to pay restitution in full. Her assets would be monitored. Any attempt to open new credit would trigger reports. She was legally bound, financially cornered. Outside the courthouse, Vanessa finally caught up with her. "Are you happy now?" she hissed. Claire turned fully toward her, calm. "I'm not happy or unhappy. I'm whole again." Vanessa scoffed. "You think this makes you better than us?" Claire held her gaze. "No. It makes me free from you." She walked away, each step lighter. That night, Claire archived the fraud case folder on her laptop. She opened a new one titled Boundaries, Do Not Cross. The weeks that followed were calm. No emergency calls. No guilt trips. Silence wasn't loneliness, it was peace. 6 months later, Margaret sent a letter. She admitted her role in enabling Vanessa's behavior. But Claire kept her distance. They spoke only on holidays, cautiously, with boundaries firmly in place. Healing, she realized, wasn't a door you opened for those who had set your house on fire. The insurance refund restored her account. Claire used part of it to hire a financial advisor and strengthen her company's security protocols. Evelyn helped her issue a statement to clients, explaining the fraud. To her surprise, it strengthened trust. Clients admired her transparency and resilience. One afternoon, Claire passed a jewelry store. A simple gold bracelet caught her eye. Elegant, understated. She stepped inside. As the associate slipped it onto her wrist, Claire thought of another bracelet, the one Vanessa had borrowed years ago and never returned. This was different. This was hers. Purchased with her own card, her own name clearly on the receipt. She remembered her grandmother's words, "The people who truly love you will never make you prove it." For years, she had believed that meant sacrifice. Now she understood. Real love never demanded self-destruction. Claire walked home, the bracelet light on her wrist, her phone silent in her pocket. At her front door, she paused, savoring the quiet. No drama waiting inside. No eggshells to tread. Just peace. She stepped across the threshold, free at last from the belief that forgiveness required reunion. It didn't. Forgiveness meant closing the ledger, acknowledging the debt, but refusing to let it drain you again. The weeks that followed felt like uncharted territory for Claire. For the first time in years, she wasn't waiting for a late-night call about rent money or an urgent email about unpaid bills. She wasn't the automatic fixer anymore. Jordan, her assistant, noticed it too. One afternoon, Jordan leaned against Claire's office doorframe and said softly, "You seem lighter these days." Claire smiled faintly. "I guess I finally stopped setting myself on fire to keep them warm." Jordan tilted her head. "And does it feel lonely?" Claire shook her head. "No. It feels like breathing." It was a truth she had never spoken aloud before. Independence wasn't isolation. It was space to finally hear her own thoughts without the constant noise of demands. Margaret called occasionally, mostly on holidays. Her tone had softened since the court ruling, though she still struggled with ownership of her choices. "I never meant for it to go so far," she admitted once, her voice quivering. Claire listened in silence. There was no need to argue anymore. "I hope you're doing well," Claire replied simply, her words polite but distant. The boundaries she had once struggled to build now stood firmly in place. She realized she didn't need to win her mother's understanding or Vanessa's apology to move forward. What she needed was peace, and that was hers now. Vanessa, on the other hand, stayed mostly silent. Every so often, Claire saw her name mentioned in local gossip columns, usually tied to stories about debts or failed ventures. Once, an acquaintance sent Claire a screenshot of Vanessa ranting on social media about fake family loyalty and cold sisters. Claire didn't reply, didn't engage. Evelyn had advised her early on, "Don't feed the fire. You don't owe her a stage." So Claire didn't. She archived the screenshots, then went back to her work, her company, and her life. Letting go didn't mean forgetting. It meant refusing to let bitterness write the rest of her story. Ellis' marketing group flourished in the months that followed. Claire's transparency during the fraud ordeal had unexpectedly strengthened client trust. "If you can handle that storm with grace," one client told her, "we know you can handle anything for us." The praise warmed her, but more importantly, it reminded her that her worth wasn't tied to her family's approval. She had built this company from scratch. She had weathered storms they never even saw. And she had done it without shortcuts, without stealing, without exploiting trust. For the first time, Claire allowed herself to fully own her success, unapologetically. One evening, Claire and Evelyn sat across from each other at a quiet wine bar. The attorney raised her glass. "To new boundaries," she said with a smile. Claire clinked her glass against hers. "And to freedom," she added. Evelyn studied her for a moment. "You know, Claire, most people in your position would have caved when family pulled the loyalty card. You didn't." Claire exhaled slowly. "Because loyalty without respect isn't love, it's control. And I've lived under that long enough." Evelyn nodded. "Then you've already won more than the case." Late that night, Claire returned home. She walked into her apartment, quiet and orderly, free from the chaos that once defined her life. On the dining table sat a small box, the bracelet she had bought weeks earlier. She picked it up, fastened it around her wrist, and stood in front of the mirror. For the first time, she didn't see the tired, overburdened daughter or the sister always cleaning up someone else's mess. She saw a woman who had survived betrayal, faced it head-on, and chosen herself without apology.